Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about a little bit of a cold blast, several actually more of a long-term pattern that could be setting up where basically there will be colder air across much of the Midwestern and kind of portions of northeastern United States and warmer across the south and southeast. And this isn't really anything too different from what we've been seeing, especially in the early to mid part of spring, as if you recall, we had a lot of chilly air stuck, very stubborn. Great Lakes and Midwest were very chilly, while the Southwest, the West, were all pretty warm, and that seems likely to continue. I'm just going to show you right off the bat, 8 to 14 outlook, June 10th through the 16th of the 22nd. So again, today I'm recording this June 2nd, so this is a little bit out, but you can see below average for a good portion of the central northern United States, and the southwest, the south, and southeast staying above average. Precipitation a bit above and across the eastern United States, and a bit below across the west. Now, 6 to 10 day outlook, it is a different time period slightly. You can see it's 8 through the 12th, so a bit less further out, really mainly the same. Pretty warmer across the west, pretty cool across the central United States, and again, wetter towards the south and east, and drier as you go towards the south, and especially the south south and west. So let me just show you this on a few weather models to show you how this progresses. So it's going to be hard to see this because the pattern is a bit chaotic, a lot of waves, but what you're trying to see or look for is this trough. So basically anytime the jet stream, which again it's weaker in the summer and not as profound, but anytime it makes some kind of a bowl, usually cold air filters in, and when it's more of a ridge, kind of like a turtle shell if you will, and a lot of warm air then sweeps in underneath it. So since we are expecting cooler weather across the central United States, you're looking for a bowl, right, a trough across the central U.S. at least for some given time. And if I run this through, notice that we do have that flow for a good portion of the United States at given points. So there's going to be a lot of activity, which again, why they do advertise for above average precip across really similar areas where it will be cooler. But notice, right, so we have this system, for example, on June 10th, and look, it develops, it sweeps through, and behind it, we're left with a flow that is slightly from the north. There's no really heat building. There aren't strong winds from the south and west. So there isn't any heat wave, at least for the central United States and northern. Notice, right, a little, I don't know if you could see that well, but those red lines, if you follow them, right, from Canada, they do a little bowl shape. So if you were to take a look at the anomalies, you would see that here it's cooler, and where it's warmer is further towards the south and west. And this does seem like there will be little brief periods of warm weather in between these little troughs, but behind each one there will be a cooler sustained period of air. And you can see I wanted to show you the precip map instead of just showing the anomalies, because I want to show you that it's going to be active, and that's what's really going to be mainly bringing in this cool air. These systems are going to be relatively well developed and they have the power to drop down quite a bit of chilly air for summer. So let's take a look at the anomaly map. Now this is basically very simple, very obvious, where you can see those orange colors. That's where it's above average. Where it's blue, that's where it's below average, so cooler temperatures. And notice that this is now negative. So finally, this is 1 p.m. June 2nd, so that's today. Notice we have a little bit of chilly air already across the United States. I'm sure today it was across my area here in Illinois, it was absolutely beautiful. Not too warm, not too cold. It was a very, very nice day, and that seems like that will continue for a good portion of the United States. The West will be on a warmer side, especially during the nights. But notice that the cooler air stays towards the north and the central United States. Now, notice that as we push towards, again, that 8 to 14 day outlook time frame, right, June 7th, June 8th, we do see that this cool air become a bit more expansive. Again, you can see if there are warm colors across the central here, northern United States, the Great Lakes, they're brief. They're not long-lived. Across the southwest, it's a different story. They're pretty permanent there, and in some instances, they get pretty warm. Look at that right there. That's definitely something that could be of concern. Potentially, we'll make a video, about the heat wave here. There are some signs that could be pretty nasty. But notice that, again, cooler air dominating this part of the country here, so that definitely is something that, probably will be more of a good thing. You won't really have any significant heat. If you're looking for hot weather, typical summer-like weather, it probably won't be that hot either. But I'd much have, cooler weather preferably than warmer weather. And you can see, as far as this goes, I mean, these cool waves continue going on, and just warm across the west, which really isn't good for the drought. But that's just how it is, and the weather, I guess, directs its own show. So notice this is now 2-meter temperature Fahrenheit. I'm just gonna go through this quickly. You can see that obviously the greener, lighter pale colors are cooler, warmer. It's a lot south. Look at these contrasts again. You can see several days. Missouri, Illinois could be in the comfortable 70s, maybe lower 80s, while the southwest is in the hundreds and upper 90s. So it's going to be quite a contrast depending on where you live across the United States. And do note that the southwest, especially during that time period of around 200-ish hours out, which I'll show you right here, is where it could get dangerously hot. And you can see we do have a lot of very, very warm conditions, especially, I don't know if you saw that right there. That is incredible heat right there. So I'll probably make a few videos on that. But if you live across the Great Lakes, you're in the 60s, even maybe 50s, right, for your daytime high. So you're looking at the southwest. It seems like a completely different world. And in terms of weather, I mean, it really will be. So that is that. In terms of total accumulated precipitation, just how the weather models think that the precipitation will be dispersed. You can see it pretty generous. The southwest here, Texas, a bit less than what would be kind of preferred. They are pretty dry here, but you're getting some. Southwest, you'd like a lot. You're not going to get much, so not good news there. But southwestern Canada, the northwest seeing decent amounts, north central United States, southern plains, south central United States, southeast, the northeast, the Great Lakes, southern Canada, everywhere it's pretty good. Canadian prairies are here, maybe a bit quieter, but again, that could shift. And you can see that the models like the Canadian doesn't go out as far, but for the time that it does go out, it mimics and really the GFS very similarly, with just keeping a few areas kind of below average precip, and the rest are pretty darn good. I wouldn't say anything too alarming in terms of precipitation and the precipitation trends. European model outlook, again, only 240 hours out. Still, though, relatively the same. It does keep it a bit drier towards the upper plains. However, that's not the worst of news, as they've been pretty wet. They've had storm after storm. I've seen many flood watches, flood warnings, flash flood advisories, whatnot. So that definitely a little bit of quiet period wouldn't do much harm, but it's tough to tell if that you will even formalize, because all it takes is a 1 or 2 round of storms that passes through, and that could dump an inch or two. And it's pretty hard to predict precipitation patterns in the summer. But you can see generous. I mean, really, just generous across much of the United States. Southwest, not too much at all, which again is a concern for sure. I guess that's the worst part of the precipitation, that it's not occurring where they need it the most. Now, if we were to take a look at the GFS, which is a ensemble, so this is not just one model, which one model could be pretty inaccurate, have its own biases. This is many models combined, so you kind of remove that threat, and you can see that it mimics what the other ones I showed you. Cooler weather across the north central, maybe even the southern United States at some points, while pretty warm across the west. And it does seem like a stubborn pattern. Obviously, the further out you go, the models get more disagreed, but you can still see that lobe of chilly air is still maintaining its presence across the United States, and will probably play into a big factor for this upcoming, I think, June. Maybe if not this whole summer, maybe kind of similar to what we have going on here. So definitely interesting. Now, let me show you the European model. I think I showed you its precipitation outlook, but I didn't show you its temperature outlook. But I guess spoiler, it's very similar to the GFS. You could see mainly cooler periods across the north here. There will be a bit of cooler weather, especially across the next few days across the west, but eventually the warm air does start filtering in and starts dominating, while further here we have more of a cool pattern. Though again, it is a little bit of a mixed bag at first, and currently you can see that there are I guess areas of cool and warm and cool all over the place, but it will become more, I guess, more formalized as you push forward into time. More, I guess, more organized in terms of the pattern, will be more clear to see. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to go over. I just wanted to go over a brief kind of long-range pattern, long-range outlook. And again, west warm, right? South warm. And then anywhere starting from the north central plains, especially the Great Lakes, the Midwest, eastern Midwest, and portions of the Northeast. Mid-Atlantic will be cooler for a good portion of this, probably first half of June. In terms of big storms, big events, it's summer, so we have these, occurrences pretty much every day. A little Let's not pop up thunderstorms across either from daytime heating or little wee cold fronts or warm fronts. But the next big, I guess, biggest event we'll have to watch for is on Friday. So tomorrow in the afternoon, there could be some nasty storms across Nebraska, Kansas maybe erupting. I don't know what the severe weather threat is. It doesn't seem too awfully high, but you can see that there's also going to be a storm moving in on the northwest that could be dropping quite a bit of precipitation, and that is kind of the area to focus on. But I do want to say that obviously in terms of the tropics, we do have a tropical disturbance of some kind. I don't know if it's named or will be named, but I've seen different speculations on this. Regardless, it will bring probably some nasty winds and some heavy rain for Florida, and you can see it intensifies as it moves through peninsula and into the Gulf of not really Gulf, kind of like the I guess the little bay here, the little shoulder of, I guess, the armpit of Florida. That's kind of the informal way. I know that there's a better name for it. But notice that this thing kind of doesn't really, strengthen too much, but it definitely is something that could bring quite a bit of soggy weather to Florida and maybe even some strong, rip currents and whatnot when it's closer to the Georgia and Carolina coast. 2 meter, or sorry, the precipitation outlook from that, you could see there could be quite a bit of heavy rain, so that is definitely something to watch for. But again, it's a tiny part of the country, that storm, it's just Florida, but it is an intense, potentially, system, so we will have to watch for that. And again, not intense for hurricane, just intense in general in terms of weather. And you can see that the HER model, right, short range model, it shows a lot of rain there. I mean, potentially, areas up to 12, even more inches of rain, so we'll have to see. For now, that is basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya.